Oh, hi, hello there. Welcome to Weld of the Week. I'm your host, Mr. Postma. Each week we're going to delve into the art, the science, and the skills related to top-notch welding. The tips, tricks, and techniques to take your welding skills to the next level. Grab your helmets, grab your torches, let's get sparking.
Yeah, Weld of the Week. It's Weld of the Week now. Weld of the Week. It's Weld of the Week. Yeah, Weld of the Week. It's Weld of the Week. Yeah, laying bees, stacking dimes, perfect passes every time. Weld of the Week.
Welcome back to Weld of the Week. I'm Mr. Postma, your mildly awkward guide to all things metal and molten. This week, we're going to be diving into the basics of welding, specific to PPE and GMAW, also known as MIG. And we're going to try not to blow anything up. So let's get sparking. Let's talk about personal protective equipment, or PPE, for those who love acronyms as much as I love puns. Safety isn't just important in the shop, it's weld worth it. Get it? Weld worth it? Tip number one in welding, proper PPE. Before you even enter the shop, make sure you have those safety glasses on. More specific to welding, you're gonna need our welding helmets, minimum shade 10, don't forget that. Welding gauntlets, big leather gloves, and a welding jacket. You can either use one similar fabric as mine, or the big leather ones, depending on what feels comfortable to you. Now on to GMAW, or gas metal arc welding. Some people call it MIG for metal inert gas welding. That's a whole other story. Let's start with the setting your machine voltage and amperage. Think of it like a toaster. Too low and you'll get a weak weld, too high and things could get a little crispy. Refer to your setting chart. Now these can be found easily on Google, depending on the type of machine that we're running. In our shop we have this blue Miller and we have a red Palcon. Now the blue Miller is a little easier to set. All you have to do is, on the voltage, set to the thickness of material. We'll most likely be working with 1/4 inch material, so we probably want it set around there. If we got thinner stuff, you will want to turn that down, or else you could end up blowing right through it. Now our wire feed speed, that is pretty self-explanatory. That is going to be how fast that wire comes out. There is an auto feed setting. We are running 0.035 or 035 wire, so you could just set it there. If you would like to get into a little bit more custom weld settings, then you can lower it into the manual setting portion to get that perfect bead as you please. To turn it on, just simple, flip that switch. For the red Palcon, a little bit different. You have to reach in behind the machine to flip the switch. And then our voltage is the bottom right switch here, or knob there, set to high. And then our wire feed is the top switch on our supply pack there. Next, let's turn on our shielding gas. This protects the weld pool from contaminants in the air, kind of like a sunscreen for your weld. Here we're using a 75% argon, 25% CO2 mix. Fun fact. Argon is a noble gas, which means it doesn't react with other elements. It's basically the introvert of the periodic table. First, you want to pick the proper bottle for your MIG booth. I've got it labeled here, MIG booth number 2, MIG booth number 3. If you're unsure, just check inside the booth. Turn off and on our bottles is this red handle here. If it goes down, it means it's off. Pop it up, means it's on. Next, we have our flow meter. This will tell us just how much shielding gas is going through the line to our welder. Ideally, you want it set between 20 and 30. If you're unsure what it's set to, or it's not acting the way it should be, get a friend, get a partner, have them pull the trigger on the welder while you come take a look here, and you can adjust with this little knob there. The ball will raise, and that is how you set the shielding gas. Next tip, MIG pliers. These will become invaluable tools when it comes to MIG welding or GMAW welding. First up, probably the most important part, is cleaning out the nozzle. You can use this bigger opening here, fit it around our nozzle, and pull it right off. You don't need to spin it, don't need to twist it. It's not screwed on, it's just placed on. Just a little bit of force and it'll pop right off. Then we can use these ends, go inside, give it a smack, you can pull it out and clean off the inside of your nozzle. You want to make sure you have a clean nozzle, or else the shielding gas will not make it to your puddle, therefore causing some contaminants inside of that. Pop that back on. Another awesome thing for these is to clip our wire. So you can stick it in there, push together, and it clips our wire to the appropriate stick out that you need. Okay, now that we have our machine set, our gas on, and our tip clean, and our wire set with the stick out, 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, reminder, it is time to practice. We're gonna grab some scrap metal first, okay? Grab any type of scrap metal. It doesn't need to be super clean, it doesn't need to be pristine. Actually welding over top of other welds will introduce you to some adversity in the world of welding, and will be good for you in the long run. Now, the techniques involved with MIG flat welding, which is what we're primarily going to be looking at today, is pushing, pulling. Doesn't matter if you're left-handed or right-handed, you can do both, push or pull. You can even add in some little techniques like little E's or little whipping motions, some different zeros or circles, whatever's more comfortable for you. And that's what I want you to focus on, is getting into a consistent rhythm with your MIG welding in the flat position. So once you've done a couple dry runs, going back and forth a bit, getting the feel, getting it nice and steady, go ahead and run some practice beats. I want you to do that quite a few times just to get comfortable. Now remember, this will make the plate really hot, so do not touch with your bare hands. Make sure that you're using your gauntlet, and you can even use your MIG pliers to pick it up and move it around just to prevent yourself from burning yourself. Once you've gotten comfortable with that, we're going to start looking at moving over onto our Weld-A-MIG. Okay, so now that we've done some practice on our scrap material, we're going to move over to our Weld-A-MIG. This is our test plate for all of our welding that we'll be doing with the welds of the week. Make sure that you're on the GMAW side, because we're going to use the other side for stick, or SMAW. Now I've determined that the method for me, the type of technique I'm going to use is a push method, and I'm going to do a bit of a flicking motion as well. Okay, now is the time. We want a nice consistent 6-inch bead all the way across our plate in one go. We don't want a bunch of stop and starts in there and it all moving all over the place. So we're going to do a couple dry runs just to kind of get the feel for that, making sure that we're comfortable all the way and not having any interruptions during the welding. Now, the big thing about this weld joint, which is a 1F, 1 standing for flat, the F standing for fillet, is that we want to make sure that our torch angle is consistent and not too much one way or the other. If we have it too much facing downwards, we're going to end up with more of our weld in the base plate and less penetration in our vertical plate. And if we have it too much towards our vertical plate, it's going to be the opposite. We're going to have too much penetration in our vertical plate and not enough in our base plate. We want a nice even amount, so we want to try to keep that at that 45, and you want to be able to maintain that the entire 6 inches of our plate. Once you've done your dry runs, you feel confident, it's now time to pull the trigger. And there we have it. Pretty nice and consistent 1F MIG bead. Go ahead, finish off all the other joints on the GMAW side. Well, there we have it. The end of the first Weld of the Week segment. Hope it was well worth it. You should now have a bunch more tools, tips, and tricks to add to your welding tool belt to make you the next best welder. We'll see you next week. Weld of the Week.
Melt that steel, feel the heat. Weld of the week, so what do you think? Weld of the week, it's weld of the week, yeah, weld weld of the week, yeah, weld of the week. It's weld of the week, yeah, laying bees, stacking dimes. Perfect passes every time. Weld of the week!